Look at what these people are saying about me. Friday feedback for the week. And by the way, a lot of people asking, David, where'd you get that MAGA hat? I've been occasionally during the week wearing a MAGA hat that says "Make Truth Great Again." This is one of our items. This is available in our online store, store.davidpakman.com. And I will say a little bit more about what's going on with the merch in a moment. All right, Justin wrote in, and Justin says, "Orange man bad. This whole thing is Joe Biden's fault. It seems you hate democracy. Biden encouraged illegal immigration and Trump was democratically elected to fix the problem. Now you cry dictator. He's called the president. He is in charge like a dictator, but democratically elected by the people." That is not true. It's not, you don't get to be a dictator just because you were democratically elected. There are supposed to be checks and balances. We have Congress, we have a court, we have more. But okay, this person's not going to understand. Poor Renee, her wife screamed, "Why did you use real bullets?" Wow, just wow. So brainwashed, so sad, you don't help. I don't agree with how you put things. However, I do watch a lot of your videos. So in case you wonder why so many people aren't subscribed, Florida seems to be taking the correct approach. Well, you know what, Justin? I sometimes do wonder, why are so many people not subscribed? And then I remember that a lot of people believe absolute and utter bullshit like you do. And then I go, that's why so many people aren't subscribed. So listen, if you want shows that aren't going to blow smoke up your whatever and that aren't going to sugarcoat and are just going to be honest, this is the show for you. And there are others as well. And I would invite you to subscribe. And I would love it if you subscribed. However, if that is not what appeals to you, if you just want unhinged praise of Donald Trump and irrelevant criticisms of Joe Biden, guilty as charged. This show is not going to be for you. All right. Sion wrote in and says, "Since I started wearing your merch, hi, David, I recently ordered and subsequently started wearing one of the show's sweatshirts. And I have had several really nice interactions from people who are fans of yours. Wide-ranging demographics, old, young, white, Latino. They were all pumped to see and approach a fellow fan. And to me, it speaks to the quality of your work and your character. Anywho, glad to have you as a rational voice. And I look forward to future Parkman. Oh no, future Parkman show episodes." All right, let's assume that was just an erratic autocorrect. I have heard from so many people who have said, "David, I was wearing your t-shirt at the gym. I was wearing the fake MAGA hat that says "Make Truth Great Again" out. And people approached me and we had great conversations with mutual fans of the show. I love that. I love that. You know, we make very little money with the merch. Like the profit margin is often like a couple percent. In fact, we had stuff mispriced at the beginning and we were losing like $1 for every t-shirt we sold, which is not a good way to run a business. Okay. But these are really a conversation inducing pieces. And I love hearing from people that they are having those great conversations. All right. OC Kings fan wrote on the subreddit, "What happens if Nicolas Maduro is found not guilty? Maybe a stupid question, so forgive me, but given the thin evidence and lack of procedural knowledge by Trump's DOJ and other recent indictments, it's pretty conceivable that a jury will come back with a not guilty verdict in the Maduro trial. What happens then? Do we say, whoopsie, guess you can go home now? Does he retake power? Does the Trump administration ignore the verdict and put him in Guantanamo or an ICE facility?" Genuinely curious. So here's my expectation on this. I talked to a couple lawyers. The lawyers I spoke to said their expectation is that as the legal process against Maduro goes forward, if prosecutors start to get the sense that it is thin, that it's not a case likely to yield a conviction, that they may push for a plea deal, and it may be a more and more favorable plea deal. And it could even be you get to go back to Venezuela, but you can never hold power again, or something that is relatively pathetic and has very little teeth. I think it is completely plausible that there is not a conviction of Maduro because it does seem like the case against him by the law. But remember, I think Maduro is terrible. I'm not a supporter of Maduro. For all the people writing me these notes, David, you Maduro supporting socialist, Marxist, what? I am against Maduro. I'm also against the U.S. doing these incursions and deciding who is the next leader of Venezuela. That doesn't go well. But I'm not a Maduro guy. But the evidence against him does seem relatively weak based on the letter of the law. And I think it is completely plausible. I'm not going to say that he is acquitted, but that there is no conviction and that a very favorable plea deal is offered as prosecutors determine. We are not likely to get a conviction here. Devourer of Redditors is pushing for Schumer Jeffries 2028. I think this is satire. I don't know. The post is, I'm tired of all these do-nothing corporatist Democrats. We need some strong progressives who aren't afraid to wield their political capital for all it's worth. We need an FDR, an LBJ, a JFK probably if he weren't assassinated. And that's why Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are the winning ticket in 2028. This sentiment was not welcomed with open arms on the subreddit. You might not be surprised to hear. I assume that this is satire. I don't think someone who wants strong progressives unafraid to wield political capital would say that Schumer Jeffries is the right ticket. But maybe there's something missing here, and it is serious. Fanatic Watch wrote on the subreddit, I'm not worried about America's future. When Trump gets out and a new president replaces him and reverses many of his antics, a lot of leaders worldwide are just going to move on to and think of the Trump era as just a one-off mishap and nothing more. Most Europeans are smart enough to realize that Americans, by large, don't share the same worldview as Trump, and that the American market is too big to ignore. I am not so sure. Listen, this is an optimistic perspective, which is as bad as Trump is and as much as Trump has ruined relationships with allies around the world, as disastrous as he has been. On some level, other countries value the relationship with the United States and are going to come right back to us when Trump is gone. That would be great. The reason I'm skeptical is that a lot of other countries take their deals seriously. They don't break them on a whim like Donald Trump did with the Iran nuclear deal or whatever else. And so when China reorganizes its soybean imports to come from other countries, not the United States, I don't know that China is going to be as willing to go, all right, yeah, forget that. We'll cancel that deal with Brazil and whoever else, and we'll just go back to the United States. I'm just not sure that that's going to happen. So this is an optimistic perspective, but I don't know that it is an accurate one. AMC Martin wrote on YouTube, it's not fair that Trump can forget he's president, but the rest of us can't. Yes. No, I have nothing to add to this one. This one is a nice one that combines disdain over Trump's authoritarianism with concerns about Trump's cognition. I have nothing to add, just like very well done and nicely executed. Mike Tyke wrote on YouTube, I love the pathological way that this country tries so hard to keep the panic level low. On the wrong track, really? Never mind just leaving the track. The country has derailed, left the track, gone over a cliff, and crashed and exploded at the bottom of a freaking ravine. Yeah, you know, what's really wild about being in the United States right now, you know, you look at the country on a map. Some countries don't have maps. No, sorry. That's an old classic. You look at the U.S. on a map. It is a massive country geographically, over 340 million people. And we have a lot of people in this country who agree that the country is out of control. The problem is some of us believe the country is out of control because of Donald Trump. On the other hand, there are Trump supporters who believe the country is out of control because of Biden, and Trump is going to be the only thing that fixes the country. And so that is why we don't have, you know, the shock from Europeans and South Americans who write to me and they go, what on earth is going on in this country, David, in the United States? What is happening? They are not cognizant of the fact that there are tens of, you know, a lot of these countries have 5 million people. There are tens of millions of Americans who voted for Trump, think he's doing a good job, don't have any concerns that his brain is failing, don't have any concerns that he's an anti-democratic authoritarian. They're just like, yeah, this is the guy to fix the problem. And if that's where you start, it's going to be tough to talk your way out of it. Very, very tough to talk them out of it for sure. We have a phenomenal bonus for a show for you today. Sign up at joinpakman.com. Get instant access. It's the best. It's the most direct. It's the most efficient way of supporting the David Pakman Show. I tip my hat to you. It didn't screw up my hair that badly. I'll see you on the bonus show. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.